So here at Lubbock County Detention Center, we have 5 David, which is our special needs pod. And this is a specialized pod for mental health. The individuals in this pod typically have what we call a qualifying diagnosis, but when you walk in, it looks very different than your typical pod. You're going to see decorations. We utilize artwork a lot, so you're going to see Easter eggs around during the holidays. You're going to see the doors are decorated. You're going to see all sorts of decorations. And in this pod, I have a full-time counselor. It's a qualified mental health professional, and it is very structured. They are in classes twice a day. They have to wake up, they have pill call, med compliance is required. And our curriculum, the Hazelden curriculum, is a CBT-based curriculum, and it is also incentive runs. And in this pod, we also have treatment teams every other week. So we have a multifaceted treatment team that's coming in and looking at medication management. Where do we need to be going from here? What's going well for you? What's not going well for you? Looking at different behavior plans. So it is a very specialized pod, and we utilize that incentives, or we utilize incentives to be able to help them towards remaining medication compliant. I brought some officers through with LPD through our pod, and I took them in there and I showed them around, gave them a tour of the facility, and I had somebody pull me aside and said, "Hey, is that so-and-so?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." He goes, "That's the first time I've ever seen him, and he has given me a fist bump, and we didn't get into some sort of altercation." And so it just shows that, you know, these officers and other stakeholders, that what we're doing in this pod is working. We're getting these individuals stabilized. We're keeping them in this environment where they can thrive, and then we help them with resources, and we try to get them through the process of reintegrating and re-entering into society.
The way that this sort of got started, I began to ask the judges to meet shortly after the legislative session in which the Sandra Bland bill was passed, along with some other bills.
We had a regional meeting with our local MHMR provider, and there were, I don't remember, at least a dozen county judges in that meeting, and probably a couple more. But we were just kind of kicking it around. How are we going to accomplish the parameters of the bill?
Judge Lewis approached me with the idea of potentially piloting telehealth in the Montague County Jail in terms of the screenings and assessments that we've historically done face-to-face in the jail.
The easiest way to do it was a simple iPad. We put an iPad on the wall, secure.
We're doing this lockbox, that way the inmate can't tamper with it or destroy it or anything. And then once we lock that back in there, then that's as simple as it gets. You go get the inmate, bring him in here, and that's...
Instead of taking 2 hours to travel for an assessment, or have a facilitator come to us, and the security that involves either direction, then we do it in a secure room. It's all video, and it's over with in about 15 minutes. Time is the whole thing, and time is money for counties as well. So the faster that we can get this done, the faster the assessment can be done, the faster treatment can be accomplished if it's necessary, and you're keeping costs down to a minimum at the same time.
But I think as people have evolved and seen that this isn't some sort of gimmick, that it actually creates better access for care for people. You've seen now that this is sort of the state of the art about how you try and deliver services, particularly in rural areas, hard to reach populations, or places that don't have access, ready access to a behavioral health professional.
We actually cover a 23 county area. We're probably one of the largest rural centers in the state. We cover 225,000 people in a 25,000 square mile radius. And so we found ourselves in a situation where we were unable to recruit doctors, unable to put doctors on the road going from one clinic to another. And so we were one of the TIF grants years ago, and as we continued to perfect the telemedicine, it became easier and easier in terms of how you do it. We didn't need all the bandwidth. We didn't need the big screens. And so now we are at a point in even our very remote areas where we only need the jails to have a PC, a camera, and high-speed internet.
As we began to see the problems associated with mental health in the jail, we knew that we would never be able to hire a mental health staff. So Shelley and I started working together, and we've figured out a lot of things, and we've built a program basically from the ground up that works for this community, and I think we turn out a pretty good product.
We have so many individuals in and out of our jails that on our caseloads as local mental health authorities that have co-occurring substance abuse problems. And the sheriff and I are both very dedicated to treating both disorders, because if we don't, substance abuse isn't going to treat everything, and mental health isn't going to treat everything. You have to treat both issues. And so I think that is something that's been missing, and we've identified it.
I know that there's a lot of disconnect between the local mental health authority and county jails, and I really think that if you'd sit down and give it a chance, and I mean, you don't always have to agree, and we don't always agree on how to do things, but we work through it because it's not what's in the best interest for us, it's for, you know, the people that we're serving.
We are awarded Senate Bill 292, and with that, we implemented jail-based competency restoration.
The judge sits here, and then the prosecuting attorney with the plaintiff, or just the prosecuting attorney, they will sit here. So, tell me who sits here. Jury. Great. That is awesome. Yes.
An individual will come in for their initial session, and they will be seeing a case manager, one of my two case managers, or they will be seeing the educator, the LPC educator. And so they are going to be seeing one-on-one sessions. They're going to be in group sessions. They are going to have attorney visits with the educator and the caseworkers. They will be taught in different learning platforms. So we have videos, we will give them flashcards, anything and everything, whatever they need to be successful in reaching maximum benefit of our program. As the restoration staff, our goal is to provide them the maximum amount of information and get them to the maximum potential that they will within our program within 60 days, and then we refer them for their final evaluation. So we are not the ones deciding if somebody has been restored to competency. We provide our education, we provide our services, and then we will make the referral, and then a psychologist will come in and do their final evaluation. A con to jail-based competency restoration right now is there is a certain amount of individuals that we cannot serve even though we are in a maximum security facility. You know, your aggravated assaults, anything like that, something that would warrant them going to, say, Vernon, North Texas State Hospital. We actually cannot serve those individuals. So with jail-based competency restoration, we wanted to alleviate those forensic wait lists. We wanted to take your larger counties and remove those numbers so it can be better served for the community, but we're not able to serve those individuals right now. So until there's some edits made to the statute, we will continue to be able to serve who we were serving in inpatient restoration and outpatient competency restoration. Being able to have a system that communicates with each other. You know, you have your judges that are working with your LPCs, that are working with the DA's office, that are working with, you know, your attorneys, your mental health attorneys. And so that pure collaboration and being able to pick up the phone and realize that we are all in this battle together. We are all working towards the same common goal. And I would say that has been our biggest success, is just successfully working with one another in our county.
So the eligibility is based on someone who's been incarcerated within the last 12 months and is a Fort Bend County resident and is willing to participate in the program, because it's a voluntary program, it's not mandatory. Our project had to fill gaps in the state strategic behavioral health care plan. The grant also required us to work on a particular intercept in the SAMHSA Gains Center sequential intercept model. And we chose intercept 4, which is re-entry. So re-entry from the jail and then preventing recidivism, preventing them from going back into the jail.
Before this program came into my life, every day was a struggle. I was out there on the streets. I got robbed, I got shot, took all the little money that people would give me to help me. I got jumped on by those that live on the streets, these gang members and so on, and so that has no respect for themselves as well as anybody else.
Really, I would say that we call it the rapport, but our relationship from the ACT team with the client has been something that has assisted them in change. Meeting clients, and he used terms like, in a sense, feeling hopeless, paranoid, things like that. When we come along, our relationship that we create with the client assists them in overcoming some of those boundaries, reducing some of those symptoms, and then they look forward. In a sense, we act as the assistant motivators for the client.
It's been really uplifting to me. I have a place with a roof over my head. I get food, I get clothing, I get to go to my doctor's appointments, you know what I'm saying, after being cleansed out within from the drugs and poisonous of the streets, to where I can really be the individual that I know I was capable of being for once.
My role on the ACT team is a recovery coach and certified peer specialist, and what that means is that I have lived experience and am in recovery from substance abuse and mental health recovery. I was myself homeless. You know, I'd been on drugs for 20 plus years. I was a recovering heroin addict. I'd been diagnosed with major depressive disorder probably when I was 18, but because I was on drugs, I never was able to take care of my mental health. So my sobriety date is July 19th, 2016. I think that when I meet with one of the clients for the first time and I share my lived experience, that it kind of, you know, gives me some kind of credibility with them. And so by letting them know that I've kind of been through some of the same things that they've been through, sometimes it's easier for them to open up and trust, you know, trust me a little bit more.
So I was staying at, well, just various places. I was in a friend's evicted apartment. From there, they got me into a group home, and got me off the streets. And they've provided me with resources like transportation so I could go to the intensive outpatient treatment. So I've been clean off drugs, and I'm about to graduate from that. I was in a place where I knew I couldn't trust people. Like I knew who these people were, and I knew they couldn't be trusted. So just being in a whole different environment, like I said, it just helps me open up. I mean, I could start trusting people. I mean, I could actually, the world isn't just total a mess.
We have served 32 so far. Our target for fiscal year 19 is 50. So we're well on our way to that.